Hey guys, it's Mr. Win, and I'm going to talk about solving quadratics algebraically and what you do when you have quadratic inequalities. All right, solving algebraically just means that we're going to solve for x by getting rid of everything but x. Okay, we're going to get the x alone. So normally you'll see your equations as ax squared plus c, where your b of x that's normally here is missing. Okay, so notice example 1, I don't have a b of x, right? So go ahead and solve this by getting the x alone. So the way to do that is we want to get rid of that -4, add 4 to both sides. I'm left with x squared equals 0 plus 4 is 4. And then get rid of that exponent, get rid of that square by square rooting. So if I square root both sides, you're left with x equals, the square root of 4 is 2, but don't forget you have a plus and minus 2. So you do have two answers, x equals 2, x equals -2. Pretty straightforward like that. All right, if I look at example 2, okay, same situation. I don't have a b of x, okay? You don't have a number that just has an x on it. So let's go ahead and solve this algebraically. Let's get rid of the 10 by subtracting 10. All right, this would be -25. So you're left with x squared equals -25, right? And then cancel the square by square rooting. So we're left with x equals the square root of -25. So it's a negative, right? Anytime you see a negative square root, make sure, let's make it imaginary. We're doing I squared root of 25, and I know what the square root of 25 is. It's just going to be 5. So your answer is just going to be 5i. So again, it is imaginary, but your solutions are at 5 and 5i. Okay? What if I have an inequality? Well, inequality, there's a couple information you need to know, right? We're going to kind of picture what the graph would look like and figure out when the graph is either above 0 or below 0, okay? So the very first thing you got to make sure is, is your graph equal to 0, right? Figure out when you want to look at that graph. So here, let's go ahead and make it equal to 0 first. So looks like I need to minus that 4 to both sides, right? So we're left with x squared minus 5x. 10 minus 4 is 6, less than or equal to 0. All right, now we know how this graph is going to look like, all right? So a couple things you need to know, right? When does the graph, open up or down? Well, if a is less than 0, right, that's going to open down. Or if a is greater than 0, it opens up. So if I look at our graph a here, the number in front is just the 1. So if a is equal to 1, that's positive, that's opening up, right? It's greater than 0, it opens up. The next thing you need to know are your solutions, okay? So look at your equation and solve it, right? How would you get the solutions? Well, this has a b of x, so we can't do it algebraically, right? We can't do it like the questions above. But we can factor this and use our zero product property to get solutions, okay? So factor this. Find out, your c on top and your b, -5 on the bottom. And then figure out what two numbers multiply to give you 6, but add up to -5. So just start off by looking at your 6, right? Looking at your multiples. So multiples of 6 are 1 and 6, but 1 plus 6 is 7, so we know it can't be 1 and 6. And then how about 2 and 3? Yeah, 2 plus 3, is 5, but it should be negative, so since it's -5, right? So just to check, 2 times -3 adds up or multiplies up to 6. 2 plus -3 is down to -5. So that means our factors are x minus 2 and x minus 3. Okay? And let's just treat this as 0 for now while we get our solutions, okay? I know the inequality was different over here, but let's just treat it as 0 for now. So to solve this, let's put it equal to 0. All right, and go ahead and solve. So plus 2, looks like we need to add 2 to both sides. It gives us an easy problem here to solve. That gives us x equals 2, and add 3 to both sides here. That gives us x equals 3. So those are your solutions. We know how the graph is opening. It opens up. Now what we want to do here is we kind of want to picture that graph. So if I drew a graph here, okay? Let's just say here's our x line, okay? We know it's going to cross at 2 and 3. Those are solutions, right? We know it's going to open up. So we know the graph is going to cross at 2 and goes back up, okay? It's opening up, but it crosses the x-axis at 2 and 3. And then you want to ask yourself, right? Remember the original equation here? Okay, what is that telling us? When is it less than 0? So when is your graph below the x-axis? When is it below 0? Well, this section of the graph is the only time when it's below 0, right? So it's below 0 between 2 and 3. So say if you had a number line at 2 and 3, your graph would be between 2 and 3, like something along the lines of that. All right? Let's do another one. So if I had the example x squared plus 2 is greater than or equal to 6, well, again, figure out, when is it open, where is it open, and when is it, are we looking at below or above? We want to find our solutions as well, okay? So first thing we want to do is go ahead and make it equal to 0. So x squared plus 2 less than or equal to 6. That means we got to subtract 6 from both sides. So that gives us x squared plus, no, that's 2 minus 6, 4, greater than or equal to 0. All right, so again, b is missing. I do have a c. I can solve this algebraically, but before that, look at your a. All right, there's no number there, so it's just a 1. That means a equals a 1. That's positive. It's opening up. All right, next, this is something we can solve algebraically. So let's just go ahead and cancel this. And now I've got x squared, and we're finding solutions, okay? So let's just treat this as an equal sign for now, and then go ahead and solve. So square root both sides. X is equal to plus or minus 2. That means your two solutions would be at -2 and a +2. Okay, now that I got my solutions, I know when it opens up, I kind of picture out the graph, okay? So I'm going to draw, okay, here's my x line. I know it's going to cross at -2 and 2. So just a rough sketch of what this graph would look like. We know it opens up because a is positive. And we know it crosses at -2 and 2. And now you want to look at what is the question asking for at 0. Well, it's asking for when is it greater than 0. All right, so that is above 0. So when do you see the line go above 0? Well, out here, when you go above or below -2, and when you go above 2, right? That's when it's greater than 0. So on a number line, you would see something along the lines of this, where at -2 and below, at +2 and above. Write this as a inequality. Well, x has to be less than or equal to -2, or x has to be, that's actually going to be greater than or equal to +2. All right, and that's it. Thank you.